Mr. Hite here, and today I wanted to show a little bit of the Pasco probes. We purchased them several years ago, and they're still very good to use. Some of the technology's changed a little bit, but it's a great tool to have in the lab. We sent many sensors out over the years, um, and they still work quite well. It's a great tool to use for technology and also measurement and compare. It's a great way to compare both types of measurement. So I wanted to show you how to set them up. So what I'm going to do is change over to my camera. So you should see a picture of a camera here. There is our camera, and I have a Kindle set up, so it does work with our Kindles. If you have some of our older Kindles, it might be a little troublesome, but we do have iPads, so the app does work on the iPads as well. So a couple of components, we have our Kindle here with our SparkView app. We have these devices, our AirLinks. Most everybody should have the white AirLinks, but yours may be blue. If you were one of the first schools to get the Pasco probes, they could be blue. You definitely want, if you do have the blue ones, we want to get you these white ones here because they will work a whole lot better. And then we have the sensors themselves, and there were several different types of sensors. This one is a general sensor that we use. This one does 4 things: temperature, voltage, sound, and light. We also have a pH sensor, which is great for the pollution solution lab. So here's that. It's great for, instead of using the pH paper, you can totally use the pH sensor. Also have a weather sensor too. This is fantastic because it does all sorts of things. Pressure, wind speed, temperature. I think it does humidity as well. So I'll plug that one in. You can see that too. That would be great for 5th grade teachers if you want to go out and do some weather data. You can do it right here with this sensor. And we have a couple other ones. We have a motion sensor as well, and also the non-contact temperature sensor is a really cool one if you have that one, because you literally just point it at an object and it'll take the temperature without even touching. So it's very cool. So let me show you how to connect and use our Pasco probes. So on the Kindle or on the iPad, you should have an app that says SparkView. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And it looks like it was already was used over the summer. So here we go. When I open that app, I have my screen here. Now I have my AirLink because this uses Bluetooth technology, kind of like your speaker or your phone has Bluetooth technology. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it on here. You can charge it USB. So they should have come up with USB chargers, and there should be a charging hub. So you can charge the AirLinks too. And they do last quite a while. If you make sure you definitely turn them off, so after the students use them. So I'm blinking, that means the Bluetooth is on. Also have a power indicator here as well. So what I'm going to do now is pair this device to the app. So I'm going to go to the pair option here. So it's searching. Make sure that the Bluetooth is turned on your device too. I know that for iPads they should be, but also make sure your Bluetooth is turned on. Here's the cool thing, the light is still blinking, and it did fine. Notice it has that number, 003, 001, and that's the number right there. It is 1-to-1. You can't pair multiple of these to one item. Searching again. There it is. Okay. I'm gonna tap on that. It gives me a battery looks pretty good. Someone hit done. It's paired. That light has turned to a green, which tells me that it is working. Now, what I should be able to do is plug in a sensor. So I'm going to plug in the general sensor here. And my screen should change as soon as I plug it in. Make sure you match up the pins, because one thing that I do see happening sometimes is the pins get bent, broken, and then it won't work anymore. So I plug that in. Boom. Notice that all my values changed on the app for the general sensor. So I have sound. So we'll do decibels there, voltage. It does, you can actually plug in some wires for the voltage. So a student could check a battery, like a AA battery or not 9 volt or D battery, temperature, and even light intensity. So it'll actually do uh, uh, light intensity, which is kind of cool. But I also have this temperature probe plugged in, and this is a great probe to use for the heat energy lab for 4th grade, where they take the temperature of the cans. So that would be a great probe to use. And you can see the value kind of changing there a little bit. Now I have all 4 of these on here. What if I want to just focus on one of them? I can go ahead and tap on one of them. So I'm going to go to temperature, because that's the one I know is a great one to use. And you have a graph here. It will graph it, but we kind of want to bypass that. I like to go to display number 2. So here's display 2, because it'll show the temperature nice and large. Notice it doesn't say anything right here, right now, because you have to go over here and tap this little green arrow to get it to run. So when I tap that, it should change. There we go. So 24.6 degrees Celsius. So let's see if we can get that to change. I'm just going to put my hand around the probe and see what happens. So obviously the temperature's increasing because the heat from my body is transferring to the metal on the probe. So that's very good. Again, this is a great probe to use for that, the heat energy lab, or any of the labs, or even in core, having to do with temperature. If they need to read temperature or anything, they can totally go ahead and use the Pasco probes. Notice this is in Celsius, but if you also wanted to get the Fahrenheit, you can change that as well. So now I've changed it to Fahrenheit, which is very cool. You can see that go up. If you're 5th grade doing this, I definitely would do both, because you want to be able to read Celsius and Fahrenheit. So you can change back and forth, which is pretty cool. So that's basically how I did it. Not too difficult. Sometimes it won't read it right away, so you might have to like turn the Bluetooth on, off, reconnect the sensor. Little troubleshooting if it doesn't work the first time right away. Sometimes it doesn't work. I'll go into school, and it takes me a few times to do that. So let me go ahead and go to the home page. I'm not going to save that. So let's say I wanted to plug in a different sensor. I can go ahead and detach this one. And let's say I wanted to do the pH sensor. So I can just go ahead. I don't have to repair it because it's still blinking green there. So I know I'm good. It still should be paired, but sometimes it might drop to have to go back and repair the device to the app. So I'm going to go ahead and plug in my pH sensor. Let's see what we get. There it is, pH, and there is already a value. So the pH sensor does have a little bottle. It's just like a little buffer solution, just to kind of keep it calibrated. So that's kind of cool, but it's kind of reading it right now. So you'd have to take this whole bottle out, because what we really want is just the end of the pH sensor. So I'm going to go ahead and remove that. So this part would go into the liquid, which is really cool. Water, vinegar, whatever liquids you choose there. And again, if I want to make that larger, click on pH. I'm going to go to display number 2 because it's nice and large. I'm going to hit the play button, the green arrow over here, and there's my pH. So again, as soon as I had a different liquid, I could drop it into that liquid, and the pH number would totally change for me. And the cool thing is I can compare that to regular paper, the pH paper that we send out. So maybe one group uses the sensor, and then the others try to compare and see if they agree. Is the technology more accurate than some of our regular tools, analog tools that we use? So very interesting. So again, I'm going to hit home, no, on that. And just wanted to show you real quick. So I'm going to go ahead and disconnect the pH sensor. And I'm just going to plug in the weather sensor so you can kind of see what that one looks like. So I'm going to go ahead and plug that in. See what we get. Ooh, get all sorts of good things. So I really like this because it really goes well with the standards for 5th grade for weather, wind speed, temperature, you got humidity, barometric pressure, wind gust, dew point. So you got lots of different things on here. So let's say I wanted to go to humidity. So I'll click on humidity. I'm going to go to display 2, hit the play button. So right now the humidity in the room is 53%, 54. But let's add a little, add a little moisture to the air. Check out what I did. I increased the humidity in the air. Very interesting. So that's a really good feature to have. I can go home, and then I can even do, comes back up. There it is. If I wanted to do wind speed, because it has the little anemometer here. I go to display 2. I don't have any wind right now, but I'm going to go ahead and notice it changes. You can also change the that speed if you wanted to do miles per hour. So you can do miles per hour if you wanted to do that. So very cool that you can change that. So that works very well. And I'm going to go home. Nope. And you can explore all those other different ones. Again, this would be a great one to take outside for students to explore weather and do some different things with that particular sensor. So I'm going to go ahead and unplug that. And again, like I said, there's a couple more sensors. There's a motion sensor, which that one works okay, but you have to have a large item. Years ago, we used it with the wooden car, but the wooden car was such a small item. The motion sensor had trouble sometimes picking that up. So you have to have sort of a large object. I even used it just walking from one part of the room to the other, and it did work. It will calculate how far you are, and also the speed. So it does work very well with larger objects. And also the non-contact sensor is temperature sensor is fantastic too, because it will just read the temperature of any object you just point at it, and it will do it'll read the temperature of that without touching. So it's very cool. Again, these probes were purchased several years ago, so you should have a bundle of the different ones. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing. Yeah, you have a bundle of these different ones. If you're interested in learning more how to use them in the science lab, or even if you wanted to use it like the temperature, or even sound. So if you're doing a sound unit, it's a great way to um, incorporate that into sound with the volume of different instruments or different sounds. You can do all sorts of different things, even light energy. So if you want to do something with light intensity for third grade, that works totally good as well. So lots of applications for these. Again, they work good on the Kindles. If you have the older Kindles, the first batch, they probably won't work as well. So the iPad should be okay. You definitely want to make sure you have the white Air Links. We have lots more. So if you have the blue ones, they're not going to work probably as well because you can't really update the software on those. So let me know how I can assist you a little bit more on using the Pasco Sensor Pros in the lab. Thank you all very much and have a great day.